Vinny's 20 hours.
Hey guys, welcome to today's issue of Burner Brother Antiques Coffee Talk. Hi, so Jimmy, the big news this week on all the comments was your yard selling. Like,
Yeah.
jeez, what the world? You've been firing it up
Out
with
there
yard
doing it.
sales.
Get it done.
Tell us what happened.
I put it in high gear this weekend with the yard sales. They had the old 40 West National Road.
National Road Yard Sale.
National Road Yard Sale.
What's up, Luke?
It stretches
Luke's back. Jump in here, bud.
Hey,
Work.
look at
You got to go to work.
I know where you didn't have to go
work.
today was the gym. What happened?
Well, we were up last night until 11,
And then I had to take
30.
Audrey home after. So
You get home a little after midnight.
Oh,
yeah, after midnight. I can't go in 5 hours.
I usually see Lucas in the gym every morning, so yeah, he wasn't here today.
he's
Just
getting
saying.
this morning. He said he was getting too buff.
People
He was
were
passing Joe.
he felt bad for me. He's like, I'm gonna give that guy a little head start.
That's funny.
See you guys.
See,
All right,
man.
Love you stopping down
Hey.
and picking up your stuff for Monday. Anything else in Donaldsville?
I don't think so.
Macy will be there at 9:30.
Lundberg
Told her to be
collection
on
next
time.
week then.
Yep.
All right, next
Oh,
week.
is she starting today?
Next week, premium picks, guys. Lundberg collection. Lucas's Lundberg collection. He says the whole thing's going next week. He's no longer going to let the Wednesday wannabes be
Oh
better.
no, we
Hey, it's foggy, bud.
yeah. Be careful.
Sky, come here. Oh, there goes
Life.
the dog.
I was saying life at the back porch of Jacobs.
There goes the dog.
Sky's like,
Sky's
I'm
running
checking
around the
boundaries
yard.
today.
Out.
Just keep an eye on us.
This place
Or for us. Keep an eye out for us.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk again. Go back to your yard sales. Tell
it's-
us the
it
best
was-
buys you got. Like,
Well, first of all, it was National Road Yard Sales. It's
Yeah.
supposed to run from all through 3 states on Route 40, and I got up and they opened up at different times. As I was driving down the road, I'd see someone getting ready to open, and I'd stop in and I'd find a buyer or two, and I'd drive by a couple houses and they weren't open yet, so you have to go to the other end.
Ping
And
pong it back and forth.
I did. I went from Springfield. I went from the edge of Springfield to 202, back and forth a couple times, just driving back and forth, and new places would open up,
Yeah.
and I'd stop in.
There were some community garage sales this weekend too that I had no idea
There
they were
was.
running, but man, a lot of people were talking about them, out buying, having fun. So
Yeah, actually, the Winchester pieces and the box and stuff I got, I didn't get those till about 10:30. The house up the road there, just past Enid on the left with the
is it
barn.
when I passed you?
No, I was buying cars then.
All right.
I was in the car business.
I saw Jimmy at a yard sale. I honked and went by and called him.
Yeah, he did.
He's like, "Well, I'm in the car business."
all right, so we're back.
brief intermission.
Had a brief intermission.
Had a brief intermission.
The dog took off.
Jacob had to run across the yard and chase his dog.
She back in the house now.
Back in the house. But no, actually, Thursday, Jake, when I went over to mow, is where I found them 2 bottles
Yeah.
over in New Carlisle. I couldn't help it. Had to go to the yard sale. Every time I see one, Braden says, "Dad, you're stopping, aren't you?"
You're stopping.
I was like,
No
"Yeah,
more
I can't
choice,
pass
is it?
one."
Isn't it funny? I'm sure a couple years ago, another yard sale.
Right.
Now he's like, "Are we stopping?"
Are we stopping? Yeah, well, and he's kind of
found
seen
some
what
good
I'm doing
stuff.
with them.
Yeah.
Now. He likes it, but no. Friday, I went to a yard sale, and the guy was selling a bunch of the Pokemon stuff that we had sold.
Really?
Yeah,
Did you
right
buy
down
it?
here. No, actually, it was just past Enid Road on the right. But that's where I got the giraffe in that white glass,
Yeah.
the giraffe
Yeah.
and the art glass.
Okay.
I got those there.
Well, that's good.
He had a bunch of Pokemon stuff and 2 pieces of glass.
About spilled that.
Let me get my questions from last week pulled up.
But it was it was cool. Then I got cherry resin painting. Did you see that?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got me a cherry resin print. I put it up at the house with the other ones. Shannon said, "You got another
Which
one."
scene is it? A deer scene?
No, it says evening with friends.
Like campfire tales?
Yeah,
one?
he's sitting there with his
up.
dog on the hill, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool piece. What I like is that you sold me some stuff.
I did. Oh yeah. After I got done.
Finally, somebody's selling me something finally.
Well, Jacob yard sells right out of the back of the truck. I'm trying to make it easy for you.
I love
go
it.
around, I buy stuff, and
That's
yeah,
how
then
I've
I
set
just-
my business up.
yeah. But it was good. I mean, yeah, I went and bought some things.
You did good on that stuff though that we bought.
I did really
mean, you
good.
know, you paid $90.
Yeah, I had
$92 or
92 bucks. We figured it out, $92 and the stuff I sold you. Heck, you gave me $300, and I'm like, well, I can't not.
Yeah, that's a great.
That's a great turnover.
Good turn quick.
And then hopefully he makes a couple $100 on it. I mean,
and I'll try.
Well, the thing
Maybe
is,
I'll-
Jimmy,
maybe I'll
you
make
can
more.
turn that money 3 times
yeah. Well, what I did
over
is
the next 2 weeks. You can turn that.
we
money
went
3
to
times.
we went to the. I've already turned it over.
See?
We
Yeah,
went
it's
to the
perfect.
lake and we went to yard sales. Shannon and I did Saturday. Up there, they had their community yard sales at Fletcher and up through there. We went yard sale on Saturday all day, and I filled up the car.
It's a good thing to do.
I did.
All right, I'm gonna work through some of these questions you guys sent to us last week. So the first one is, why haven't you sold on Knickknacks? Knickknacks for us is I'm not saying it's a bad channel by any means. Jocelyn is awesome. Knickknacks is growing, and there might be a day where we get to it. But right now, we started on Whatnot, and like we only have so many hours in a day, and we just can't keep like expanding on everything. So that's just the only reason. If you guys are not following Jocelyn on Knickknacks, Crazy Lamp Lady on Knickknacks, you got to. She's awesome. She got us started in YouTubing and selling on Whatnot both. And she started the Knickknacks channel as her marketplace, and it's a great channel, and lots of fun people on there. So yeah, it's not that we don't want to or wouldn't. It's just right now it's not in the scope.
We're looking for that 8th day.
If we can find the 8th day,
Can't find it, dude. I've looked for it, Josh. It's not. I need more time.
Just gotta renumber the days of the week, right?
So, yeah.
Here's another one. Would you consider offering a wrapping service for those of us who are going to fly home and need to ship our purchases? Yeah, we actually work with a UPS store local that would wrap stuff for you. They've done that. We've actually had a couple airplane propellers we sent in the past, and then we're expanding our shipping as well. We're getting there. It's hard right now because we still need a couple more people, the right people for shipping, and you can't just let anybody ship. But that's something we are working on to expand to have available at the Antique Center. What happened to the Franklin Mint box dolls you took from the place you went last week?
They're coming up in the auction.
Oh, they sell burners.com this week. berners.com. You'll see all of those. I forgot what they were talking about.
Yeah, that's what they were.
Yeah.
Originally, we
Burners.com.
weren't going to put them in, and we got to looking, and Jim and I were like, "That didn't need to go with the other ones. They're really nice.
They're good. They're really clean.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, they're like brand new. Everything out of that place was brand new.
You're right.
So here you go. Here's a good question. In your next Q&A, how about some tips on what to look for now that garage sales and flea markets will be in abundance? Good buys. Something you can make some money on.
But here's
We
you know
were
what,
talking
honestly-
about this earlier. Garage sales. A lot of people just want to get rid of stuff, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
if you got an outlet or maybe you have a booth in a mall, try some things that are a little different, maybe out of your scope that you know are good buys.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're only looking for that one thing. When you hit a table,
Well,
look
you
at
know-
it like, man, what's interesting on this table? Just that's kind of when I go. I don't look for just the one thing. I look for what looks good, what's fun, what's a rarity or something like that. But I don't know. It's
When I yard sale, Josh, I try to pick out around here, like I know where some people live that may be older people. You see a barn, an old barn,
maybe
or
a
something,
community garage sale.
community
You know, it's an
yard
older
sale, that there's
community.
an older community. Some of those people, they drag stuff out that they haven't wanted to sell before,
Yeah.
and then they want to sell it.
Yeah.
And then
I hear this a lot. My kids don't want it.
my kids don't want it.
And especially at yard sales.
Like-
You do it and they're like,
Yeah.
I'm just getting rid of it.
Some
Kids
of the
don't
new
want
housing
them.
plats. Now,
Yeah.
some of the Jack in the Pulps I bought lately in Fenton, it's really. I mean, it's becoming more prevalent, and I'm finding it at the plat places where the newer homes where the kids have got their mom and dad stuff, and they're like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, there's a table full of clothes and knickknacks on one side,
Yeah.
and then Fenton and mom and dad. I know they're like, well, you just picked out all my mom and dad stuff. Yeah.
So I think something interesting you guys are both talking about. When you look at yard sales specifically, I used to yard sale a lot. Like when I would get up at 5 in the morning when it was all print with no social media or anything. I'd get up at 5 in the morning. I'd go through all the newspapers. I'd put a route together, And I would always look for yard sales that were going to be in older community areas. So you've got certain areas around that are like Jimmy's talking about, the Platt homes that are the 30-somethings in it. I usually would do those last, and I would try and find the people that are older that maybe are estate type sales or something like that and hit those first. That would be my approach to the yard sales. And then the actual buying when I get to a yard sale, first thing I do personally, I'm looking for gold and silver, because if there's good buys on gold and silver, it's going to be gone in the first 2 minutes. So I'm looking for 925 and then any kind of karat gold or any designer costume jewelry first. That's where you can make the most money the quickest. You walk up on a box full of jewelry and they got $20 on a whole box full, and I mean you could have. We got guys that we buy from that do this still. I don't yard sale very much anymore, but I like when I can get guys to go yard sale and sell it to me. That's what I want now. But I've got one gentleman
that's what most of his stuff came from this
Monday
week.
to yesterday or Sunday. Yesterday.
Yeah, Sunday.
We bought a whole bunch. We ended up spending several $1,000s with a gentleman, and he bought most of it at yard sales. He said, "Oh yeah, I went in there and they had like 50 cents a piece on all this, karat gold stuff." And so that happens a lot. That's my approach. Second, after I do that, then I'm looking for any other kind of silver or precious metals that might be laying around. So if it's an older home and you see like a whole pile of silver, most people don't know how to tell the difference between silver plate and sterling. 925 sterling, even some of the earlier hallmarks on silver, people don't understand hallmarks at all. So if they don't see the word sterling spelled out, they don't realize it could still be silver. So that's the second thing I look for. After that, good buys. You instantly, your eye will go and gravitate to things you know are worth money. If you see a Fenton lamp, as Jimmy talks about Fenton, if you see a Fenton lamp over there, and when you scan the rest of the tables, that's the only thing you can see that looks kind of expensive. Just kind of rush to it and see what the price is. If it's a low price, grab it right away. If it's a higher price and you're not sure about it, then you got a little bit of time possibly. But when a professional, and there's so many professional people that yard sell, resellers, it's competitive.
Yep.
The first time somebody that understands the market comes through, they're going to snatch up all those really good buys. So art pottery, the traditional things are still out there. You can buy Roseville, Weller, Fenton. You can come across advertising items. There's so many categories, and now you've got this whole new emergence of new categories. So this 90s, like the Pokemon stuff we're talking about, Star Wars action figures, Hot Wheels. Don't pass up red line Hot Wheels when they're 50 cents and $1 each. You're going to get $50 to $100 out of those. Jimmy buys them all the time. If they're in mint condition, you're going to get $50 to $100 out of a good red line.
Actually, this weekend, Jacob, I probably bought 200 Hot Wheels.
200 Hot Wheels. Most people don't rate Saturday Hot Wheels at garage sales. They just put them out by the box. Give me $20.
Well, I've got a black container that's probably got 120 Hot Wheels in it. I got for $13.
Yeah, and that's my point. So yard sales often, and most people, and not most people, a lot of our antique dealers, they don't consider Hot Wheels antiques, and so they don't consider buying them. But I've sold my most expensive Hot Wheel I personally have sold is probably around $500. I think it was it had 2 surfboards on it. And when we say red lines, we're talking about the little red circle that goes around the tire. That's called a red line, and there's people that are way more experts on it than me, but I recognize what they are, the red lines, and I know they got value. Now, all Hot Wheels have some value, but a lot of other toys do. The red line's extremely hot, extremely popular, and you can pick them up regularly at yard sales.
The first thing you look for really in the Hot Wheels when you buy them is are they metal or are they plastic first?
Right.
I mean, when you see the bottoms of them, they're the older Hot Wheels from the 70s, and they're metal bottoms. And then the older ones, like the red line ones, were special. They're before that, and then there's kind of the premium pick of Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
And now, even though they may be beat up a little bit, they still hold some value because it's a red line. It's still a rarity type of Hot Wheel.
2 other things I've had luck with around our area: planers. You can pick them up for $1 or $2, and if you look in the mall, you're seeing these things from $35 to $85.
What do you mean by planer?
A wood planer. The Stanley planer. Some of the older tools. If you have a mall or something in your area and you know, okay, these are bringing between that $40 and $50 mark, and you're picking them up for $1 or $2 at a yard sale.
Cast iron.
Cast iron was the other one I was getting ready to say. We've picked up a
all
lot
the
of
time.
cast iron. Yeah. People are just getting rid of it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm done with it," and they want it gone.
I stopped at the 1 yard sale.
You're picking up Wagner and the Sydney O's and the Griswolds. You're picking them up, and it's like, oh wow. Even when some of them you're paying $5-10 for, and they're happy to get that price out of it, and you're like, well, there's a huge market for it. Yeah, it's a $40-50 cast iron scale.
We had I had one yard sale last week, and I picked up a Griswold corn muffin pan. That was 1 yard sale.
Well,
it was
now,
like $20,
but
for me it was a good buy.
Yeah, $20, and you know that you're going to turn it.
Yeah, I mean it's an unusual form too. It may not be cornbread. I don't know. It had like long strips in it. I'm not sure what the actual proper name of it is, but I know it's a good piece for $20. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that.
You know, the other thing too, Jacob, is when you're yard selling and you're picking up stuff. Like we're shopping for antiques most of the time, or rarities, or stuff you can turn and flip. The cars I bought this weekend, they're not antiques by any means.
Right,
but
just looking for a good buy.
But looking for a good buy, yeah. And there was so many of them. They're all older diecast cars. They're not. When I mean older, the car itself is their 30s and 40s and 50s, and then some muscle cars.
So you showed me a Camaro that was. I was like, that's a really
So what he's talking about is he
car.
bought a bunch of like Ertl and diecast, one on the 1/20th scale card, whatever, 1/10th, 1/20th.
Hot Wheels too.
A few Hot Wheels in there, and he pay average $3.
$3 a car. Yeah,
and you're
so
gonna get 10 out of them, easy. Average.
Yeah, I probably average between $8 and $10. I'm going to price them to sell them.
Price them, sell them. But it's, I mean, you make $6-7 a car really easy, and you bought 80 of them.
I got almost 80.
Almost 80. So you make him few $100 just by grabbing a good buy. Okay, flea markets. Let's talk about that for a second. When I go to flea markets, depending on the mood I'm in and where I'm at. So I used to go to a lot of flea markets, and I would want to try and pick up the estate dealers, the people that are clearing out estates, and go see what they have, because often people that handle entire estates. Depending on their background and what they're doing, a lot of times it's just people that just need to get rid of the stuff, though. They've been contracted to clear out an estate, and they think, hey, the flea market's a good way to go. So look for those estate dealers. When you see a guy pull in with a big truck and he's unloading boxes and furniture and a mixed match of everything, could be some good buys there. The second thing I look for at the flea markets are the really rare items. A lot of times people will at a flea market be willing to negotiate with you. So if they got an item even marked $500 and you're like, hey, I think I can get 6 out of that, maybe 5 or 6 out of it, maybe I can still buy it for $350. There's some room to negotiate when you're at a flea market too. So I look for rare items, and then I also look for those estate type dealers. And then the other thing I look for is like a group of people. If you're at a flea market and there's a whole group of people around somebody, that means it's probably an underpriced group of stuff selling, and it's all going quick. So get over there, jump in the action, and see what you can pick up. That'd be my suggestion for a flea market.
Yeah, well, another thing about getting back to the yard sales too, just because they've had a yard sale for a couple days doesn't mean that they won't have stuff. Because I went to one this weekend, and I picked 2 things out of it when I got there that were really nice, good buys, and she said, I just put those in there today.
Yeah.
They add things to it.
Yeah.
Or at the end of the day, they've had a yard sale for 3 days, and they've had something nice, priced really high, and they want to get rid of it. At the 3rd day, you can get it for half what they asked for it, and it's a good buy. So you never know when you pull up somewhere that what's going to be there, and there could be a buy at any time.
I believe it was George and Jocelyn that were talking about picking, and they were talking about sometimes they're looking for the odd man out in a situation.
Yeah.
And when they are looking at somebody's stuff, and especially at
flea markets,
the malls and flea markets and
Yeah.
stuff like that, something that they saw and they knew it was a good buy, they bought it, but they don't really deal in it, so they just priced it to make a little bit of a profit, and sometimes you can pick up things that way.
Yeah, they got
just by seeing, the
a bunch of
oddity
cast
that's in the
iron
booth.
sitting around, and they got 3 pieces of glass over there.
Right. So I don't know. It was another way. I was like, that's a pretty interesting way to look for things.
It was.
And you can do all these things at the same time while you're going through looking. And
That philosophy works anywhere in the world, Josh. When I go to Europe, it's the same kind of philosophy when I was buying over there. I would look for what's here that the locals don't really like or understand, or is not as popular local. So if I'm in a different region, I always look for that. In different regions, has different popularities. So if I go to a region, so you can go to the East Coast and find a lot of early stuff for reasonable prices, or you go to different regions. In Europe, I would go over there and I would look what's here that they have an abundance of that the locals don't really care about. I used to buy a ton of stoneware out of Germany, blue and gray decorated stoneware, because it was in every house. It was kind of like an art pottery here.
Was the granite kind of like that too? I remember.
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of
tons
used
of
to come
enamelware.
over.
Yeah, granite and enamelware. We would buy it everywhere because everybody had it, and
But
nobody wanted it.
It was really popular here.
Very
loved
popular
it.
here. Yep.
Well, yeah, think about the evolution of how the country developed. Most of the stuff was on the East Coast in the beginning. People were here. That's where all the original 13 colonies and everything. And that as we grew as a country, stuff went across, but most of it, it was still on this side. The early
There's
stuff.
some of our
They didn't. Yeah.
dealers at the mall. It's the same way. The East Coast dealers, you can kind of pick their booths out, and it's like it's
A little earlier
it's the
stuff.
Earlier stuff.
Earlier
It's
stuff.
fun.
What's Janet's position and what does she do? That is a great question.
Keeps us in line.
We don't know what she does.
We still don't know.
I'm in trouble now. Actually, she does.
I know what she
everything.
does. She whoops up on Jimmy on a Tuesday after she watches this video.
That's right. I'm avoiding the office.
So Janet is our she does a lot of different roles. First off, so I'll try and explain her job. It's very difficult to explain because it's so many different hats. The last hat that she wears, the latest hat, is helping us out with our whatnot sales and stuff when we do the live from the hearts, and just she's kind of taking on that role as well. If you go to her first hat, payroll and accounting, every week she's doing our bookkeeping, payroll and accounting. She's like that level, and then we have a once a week we have a bookkeeper or an accountant that actually comes in and then goes through everything she's
Reconciles
done.
everything, make sure it's all
Yeah,
flowing.
so
Good
she's
to go.
she's that in-house office admin that kind of handles all of our bookkeeping and accounting. She also is responsible for making sure the booths at the Heart are all always full. If there's somebody moving out, moving in, she coordinates all of those things. When she She keeps an eye out for anything that could go wrong or bad that us knuckleheads right here might be doing. She's like, no, you guys shouldn't do that. And here's why. She's got 25, 28 years of experience there at the Heart of Ohio, so she's seen so many things happen. She's been around a long time, and she kind of really helps guide us.
There's a lot of backstory with her. There's times where we're like asking her things, and she's like, "No, we've tried this, and this happened." And it's like, "Oh, I didn't even think of that."
And so
she's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to those things.
She's in a management position. She's our senior manager at the Antique Center. Josh and I are there a lot, but then if like Janet, everybody knows Janet's in charge. If we're not around, see Janet because she's the one in charge. Even when she is around, she's
like,
or we're around.
Did I get fired today, Janet?
Janet's got the power to fire us, doesn't she?
But she's just got that knowledge of so much experience, and she just knows all the ins and outs, and she does all of our payroll submissions and banking and things of that nature as well. So
I'll tell you what, Jacob, I really have enjoyed working with her and seeing her do, whatever you guys ask or whatever's needed done, whatever the Heart needs done, and whatever on both sides. She's really jumped in and just been awesome about doing all those things. And she's funny. We have a good time.
Next question: how many booths do you yourselves have in the mall? And thank you for sharing your business knowledge. So, Jimmy, you've got a showcase,
A showcase
and a half booth,
and a half booth with Mom, and
With
Mom
Mom.
has a booth and half with me. And
yeah. So that Jimmy, and you just started about a year ago.
the
with
booth
the showcase,
we started.
right?
I have had the showcase since about a year, but the booth I've only had about 2 months.
2 months. So 1.5 for Jimmy, and Josh and I. Our footprint is one building. We took all of the
we shrunk we had several booths that we kind of inherited, and when we took over the business, and we've actually pulled a lot of that stuff from those, all of it.
all of it.
We've opened up all the booths that were original to the mall, and we've put dealers in them. So our stuff is shrank down to one building that's backed by the auction house.
So if you go in the Antique Center, the Heart of Ohio Antique Center, and you go straight, you're going to go down Building 6. At the end of Building 6, there's a 6,000 square foot building that we actually built about 20 years ago for our auction gallery. That auction gallery had turned into booths after we moved out of the Heart of Ohio. And then when we bought the Heart of Ohio and moved back in, we actually reclaimed that ground, that lost ground. We kind of reclaimed that for ourselves, and so we operate out of that 6,000 square foot area in the back, and that's where we do our retail sales as well as our whatnot and our auction gallery. All operates in that one footprint.
Yep.
And so that's kind of where we are. If you actually counted that out in the booths, maybe there's 10 booths back there now.
Probably.
About 10 booths worth of stuff, somewhere in there. Okay, did the bourbon from Kentucky get consumed? Well, not all of it.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
We did
though.
start it,
We
though.
put a good dent in it.
We got a good dent in it.
That was good.
Absolutely. Okay, next question. How many of you have booths at the Heart? We just answered that one. Tell us about Jason. What's his profession? Does he live in the same city as us? Good.
He actually lives
About a mile from me.
a mile from Josh, about 2 miles from me, and about 3 miles from Jacob. That's how close we all live together.
He moved the farthest away. I'll say that.
Yeah.
He works for the engineer's office. He's a supervisor out there. He is still 40 hours a week, so what's he got? 3 years left? I think he's got 2 or 3 years left.
Yeah, 2.5 3 years.
Hopefully he jumps in with us when he's done.
Yeah, we're hoping to get him out. He's pretty fun. You guys get to know Jason, you're gonna laugh.
It's funny because we all have our different personalities, and they're fun.
Yeah. It's a good mesh.
It'd be a good mesh.
It is definitely a good mesh.
If you can believe that, you add another one to the group, it'll be fun.
Oh wow! Can you imagine? All 4 of us get going. All right, could you please review the process of buying on Whatnot? Okay, so we do sell a lot on Whatnot now. We started selling on Whatnot in November. I think one sale in November or something like that. And in December, a few. And we took a break because we went on holidays. And then we started back up in January. Here's the process. You have to download the app. It's called Whatnot. Download that app. Once it's downloaded, then you need to register as a bidder and follow Burner Brother Antiques. And the directions on the app will guide you in registering. Once you are registered and you're following us, then you can join into our live shows. So a live show is kind of like what we're doing right now, but we're selling stuff and it's live, it's not recorded. And so the Whatnot show is similar to this experience you're having. And what it would be like is like, hey, we're going to sell this phone next, and we start everything at $1, and we just hit start, and then it goes. And sometimes the items are on a time sale where you got 10 seconds added every time the last bid happens. There's an additional 10 seconds added. And then sometimes we have sudden death, which means it's just there's counting down to 0, and whoever's the highest bidder at 0 wins the item. And we sell right now.
Sometimes, most of the time, it's sudden death.
Trying to get through merchandise.
You gotta, yeah, but it gives people an opportunity to buy more things, and I think you can get good buys doing that.
And it's pretty
A lot of
candid.
good buys.
And it's
We have a lot of fun with it.
We have a lot of
fun with it.
Friday Whatnot sales. If you're not watching, we're going to start doing more streaming of our Whatnot on YouTube again. We streamed one last night. We had
my set-in was pretty interesting last Friday.
yeah.
Hey, Josh had a stand.
Josh wasn't there.
Stand in, yeah.
Yeah. So
My
Fridays
kids graduated, so they put a dummy in my place.
Well,
Got about the
smacked
same
him around
output, right?
well, Josh's
wasn't
ears
much
were probably
difference, yeah.
ringing. Like your hand
Didn't
hitches
even
when
miss
you
me.
want money. His ears were probably ringing. He's getting that.
So Fridays at 4:00, we try and do a bulk jewelry sale every Friday at 4. I don't know if we're gonna do one this week. Was there something Friday this week?
I probably won't be there again.
Josh is skipping out Friday again.
This is
Next
a
Friday we
busy
won't.
week for me.
Next Friday we are not having one because that's when we're doing our wholesale.
Well,
at
his
the-
kids
at the warehouse.
graduating. He just had a graduation. He's trying to get ready for all their stuff. I mean, I get it, but we're gonna have fun with it if he ain't there.
Need to mention how Kate first did a Whatnot sale for you. Okay, yeah, my first experience on Whatnot was in downtown Donaldsville at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
About 8 or 8:30 at night?
8:30, probably.
I met Kate for the first time, so follow that bug if you're not familiar with what I'm saying. Kate is her handle on YouTube, Whatnot is Follow That Bug. Incredible reseller. I met her for the first time in Donaldsville. Her and Jocelyn and George were there shopping at the building we have there in Donaldsville, and she came over because of Jocelyn. I had already started talking to Jocelyn. We've been selling with Jocelyn and working with her a little bit. And Kate was like, "Oh yeah, I can sell stuff really easy." And I was like, "Well, what about selling bags of jewelry?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, I can sell those right now." As she was looking at her stuff, and I was like, "You mean you can sell this stuff?" I had never understood Whatnot before. She goes, "Yeah, I can sell all that like in the next half hour and get all that sold for you." And I was like, "I want to see this." And so she turned her phone on in 5 minutes. She had a crowd of 150, 200 people. And we were selling in 6-7 minutes after that conversation. We sold like 40 bags of jewelry on Whatnot, and I was my eyes were like, wow.
I was in shock.
I was in shock. Jimmy was there. Mom and Dad stopped in. They're like, what is going on here?
By.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Crazy.
If we have something going on, we see someone. Usually we're driving by anyway. We'll all just end up together, and people are like, "Well, I didn't get the call. Well, neither did anybody.
Nobody got it. We were just seeing it."
But yeah, I was there, and Jacob. I was in shock. I was amazed. I was like, "You're telling me that you just pulled this? I mean, that 100 people, 200 people joined you just because you said you were having a sale on a phone? I mean, I'm not a tech savvy guy by any means, but I was in total amazement. And we were selling that stuff. And she had live bidders. I mean,
oh yeah.
And then her shipping process, she showed us.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey,
right out of her car.
Like, yeah, do this right out of the car."
She popped open her trunk. She had boxes, tape, paper all there, and she's like, "I got it." And shipped it all out
I'll
the
have
next
it
morning.
shipped for you tomorrow.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
blown away. So that was
fun.
that was the introduction to Kate, and so much respect for all the resellers out there on Whatnot. No matter what level you are, it is a job, and to be able to take the risk and do what you do
Yeah.
Kudos to you guys. It can be hard sometimes. Okay, question. Have you considered hiring the Antique Nomad for maybe an antique fair or simply just for his knowledge? Man, George is a busy guy. I don't think he would want to work for me. But
George got too much going on.
if George ever gets bored, he wants to come to the heart of Ohio and work for us. We'd hire him in a second. That is not a doubt on that, man. He's incredible. If you're not following George the Nomad, guys, Antique Nomad, he's incredible, wealth of knowledge. He's been on several house calls with me now. He went to that mansion with us, and just so much knowledge.
Well, you caught up with him out at the extravaganza last week, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I talked to him out at the extravaganza for a little bit. He's just a great guy. Follow him if you're not following him.
It was impressive to watch him go through the mall.
Yeah.
He was shooting his video. Got to walk with him. And, man, it is a wealth of knowledge. He literally walks by piece after piece after piece, and he can tell you everything about it. Usually, for me, it's like, well, recognition. For him, he's telling you the era, who made it, what company they used to be a part of. Like, he just knows the backstory of everything. It's amazing.
Next question. What is your plan for selling all the items in the warehouses? Are we making a dent? Hey, we do have a plan.
We do.
We got a plan put together.
Next week.
Next week. That's why we're not
We're
doing a Friday sale in a week from now, because we are inviting all of our Heart of Ohio Antique Center dealers to shop the warehouse. We're wholesale and bulk pricing only. No retail. I guarantee this. If whoever shows up that wants to buy, that's one of our antique dealers. You have to be an antique dealer at the Heart of Ohio Antique Center, or you cannot come.
Yep, open it up to our dealers.
Only to our dealers, and we're going to sell wholesale bulk price. I mean, I'm telling you what, if you come in with some cash and be ready to buy, because we're going to sell you a reasonable group. I want to sell in groups.
I've been trying to shop it
a
all
lot. Everybody always says, how much stuff's actually left down there? More than when we bought it.
More, yeah, we actually have more. It's true. The building.
It's true.
Tell them why.
Well, we've emptied other stuff out into it.
We had 17
So,
semis
yeah,
of stuff that we've emptied out, plus another building that had a few thousand square feet in it that went into that building.
Yeah.
So we've condensed all of this footprint outside of that
Got it
warehouse
down to
to the warehouse, and now we're like, we got to sell this stuff. We're inviting, for the first time and only time ever, our Heart of Ohio Antique dealers to shop the warehouse, and the stuff in there is gathered from all over the world. It's going to be a pretty cool experience. We're hoping people show up to buy it. If you're a dealer and you're listening to this, that's next Friday, not this coming Friday, but in a week. What's the date? I don't know the date.
14th.
14th.
Yeah, I hope it goes great, because it might be something that we could do again.
Is it 3 to 5?
3 to 5.
3 to 5. 2-hour window. It'll be madhouse, but we'll be ready for you. And it'll be wholesale. Just if you walk in, you like it, and you think you can use it, put your name on it. We're going to sell it to you. Would you be interested in beautiful old Singer treadle sewing machine? Personally, no, I'm not. But they do sell. The Singer sewing machines, the treadle sewing machines, there's a value to them. My problem with them is their floor space. They take too much floor space for me to handle, and they take 2 guys to move. And so your time and energy to put into to that sewing machine. If somebody brought it to our door and it was in great condition, I'd probably buy it just because they brought it. But if you call me and say, I got a Singer treadle sewing machine for sale and you want $100 for it, it's worth it. They sell from $150 to $350, most generally in the mall in that range, but it's not something I would be interested in buying. I would be interested in any kind of featherweight sewing machines. I buy those pretty regularly.
Little minis. I said little minis, right, Jen?
Hey, don't forget
And
the
all
miniature ones.
the
Have fun
miniatures.
with them.
Yeah, all the minis.
Those minis are all over the place as far as price.
Let me see.
Yeah.
I see them
They
from
are.
50 to 150.
Well, I
Some of
don't
them
think
are-
they've hit a solid ground yet. I think people are just they're neat. And
Yeah.
It's about time you take off early for your family. Working together doesn't count. That's funny. Somebody commented that. Well, you know, I'm sure from the video perspective, it looks like we never spend any time together, maybe, but we really do spend a lot of time together. We have pretty awesome family life, and yeah, I appreciate y'all looking out for us on that, and that is absolutely important, and to each one of us to spend a lot of quality time with our families.
Well, I this weekend, Macy, Friday, I left after the sale and went. Well, actually, I went to Josh's kids'
graduation,
Went to graduation.
Graduation
And then
was at 7. And
Graduation was at 7, and then I left there about
7:30.
8:30, 8:45, and headed up to the lake because it was Macy's birthday, my daughter's birthday, and she was having a birthday party up there. So that's why I went up there this weekend and had a lot of fun with her. She was turned 24, Jacob, and
We're getting ready to see a lot more of Macy.
Yeah, well, she starts
today.
Today's her first day.
Today's her
Macy's
first day
working Brother Antiques
She
today.
actually went to bed like she was going to work.
Did
like,
she?
Like her teaching job last night.
good.
I was like, where are you
I love
going?
it.
She goes, I got to go to work in the morning. I got to go to bed. I was like, oh my, all right. Well, good for you.
That's awesome.
I said, Lucas
What's
is your boss.
really cool is Lucas is in charge of Macy, and Macy's
Oh, boy.
Macy's older.
Macy might beat him up.
She might.
Hey, some of the whatnot area could be
We'll get 'em
treacherous
fired up.
back
Yeah,
there.
we'll get all
We'll get
ya.
'em fired up.
Get
back
the
there
octagon
later.
going back there. You and your brother seem to enjoy each other's company. It's nice to see. We really do. You know, when people say, "Do you guys really like this off the camera?" Like after Friday, after the graduation, we all went back to Josh's house and hung out for another couple
1
hours.
o'clock in the morning, yeah.
I was like, I gotta go home. If I don't go now, I'll be here till 5.
Well, heck, the other day we spent, we were here at your house, and did all 4 of us.
Yeah.
And we hung out. It was,
Hours and hours.
Yeah, out, and actually all of our wives end up going home and said, we'll come get you later if you need a ride. Or
That's true. Oh, that's so funny. Man, let me see what else we got. Somebody says confusion about one of our videos. I'm not sure what that means.
We're confused.
So they
sometimes.
probably looked at us and said, those 3.
So this is a comment I didn't mark because I wanted to answer it on here. It says, I don't see how you can keep all the sale items and who they were straight. Like who owns all the stuff straight. Employers to pack and ship. Wow. We've got a really good system in place. It looks like it's chaos maybe on film or from that perspective, but reality is every single item that we sell gets a unique number assigned to it, an inventory number through our burners.com sale. Every single item. So that's like 4,000 items a month gets this unique number. That item number stays with that item its entire existence in our system, all the way through delivery. So that's one area. The whatnot stuff, as we sell it, it's really simple because everything gets put together by show and by buyer and by number. So most of the time we don't pre-upload stuff on whatnot. We found that it's best for us if we just kind of run through. It takes less time.
Volume. It's a lot simpler.
It's a lot simpler not to preload for us. Every once in a while we'll preload if we have some really cool things or something different. And then the other stuff, who buys it, wherever, we've got, again, systems in place for all of that for accounting. And that was another question someone else was, who does your accounting? My wife is awesome. She does incredible accounting work. And so is Janet. Janet does a lot of accounting for the Antique Center, and then we have layers of accountants after that. So we just kind of hand over our stuff and say, here's what we did, and then they take care of the accounting. So we appreciate the comments. You guys you comment nice things about us, being excited about the business. That's pretty cool. This is another comment I had. Doesn't the cost of Hummels depend on the stamp on the bottom? Mine are all pre-1950. That used to be so true. Hummels, the way I used to buy and sell Hummels is a really interesting process. I had a guy teach me this, and it worked for a long time. He said around a 3-inch Hummel, 2.5, 3-inch Hummel is worth $75. So if there's 2 of them in a group, it's worth $150. If there's 3 of them in the group, it's worth about $2.25. And he said, and this is how you can buy and sell Hummels. And then he said, if it's an earlier mark on them, then you can add 20%. If it's a later mark, you can deduct 20%. So that was kind of like a rule of thumb to buy Hummels. Now, I know that's not an accurate rule for every Hummel. I understand that. But here's the difference. What I used to figure a $75 Hummel every single time, it was $75 what I could sell them for. So I could pay $40 bucks for a Hummel that size all day long. I was buying massive collections of Hummels. Now, the last 5 years, I have sold hundreds, if not thousands, of Hummels for less than $35. Whether it was a full B, a stylized B, pre-1950, it didn't matter. I was only getting $5, $10, $20 each out of these Hummels for a long time. In the past month or 2 months, I see an increase again in Hummel price, which blows my mind. I thought they would never come back. Our last auction, though, and they weren't early Hummels either. They weren't pre-1950s, and we were getting $20, $30 each out of a lot of the Hummels that I had been selling for $8 and $10 each. Matter of fact, in Florida, I've got guys that sell me Hummel collections now for $8 an item straight through on the entire collections because the prices have gotten so soft. But they're coming back, so I would imagine the prices will start increasing on the buy side as well. But that's kind of the Hummel scenario.
And
that
we get new people on here sometimes, and they don't know the backstory of where we came from before.
Yep.
Someone still asks, what we did before.
Oh yeah, that's one of the questions we have.
It was, and I was a deputy sheriff for 27 years.
Up till last year.
Up till last year, yeah. And then Josh was in deputy sheriff for 20 years.
Up till a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago. But we've always been in the business. I mean, we've always been around it and doing it, but not full. That wasn't what we did for our lives.
Yeah.
But that's always what Jacob's done for his life since he was 13 years old, or earlier. Actually, he started really selling and buying at 13. Before that, he was sitting up at the auction block learning.
I think I actually took over managing the little auction company in Donaldsville when I was a junior in high school. I actually did everything, complete management of it. Yeah. And I would skip school, go buying and selling antiques. So that's been in my blood. Here's an interesting question, Josh. Has anyone ever been locked in the antique center? You and Jimmy got locked in.
We got locked in. We got locked in the commons, right?
We got locked in the outside.
Right after the meeting.
It was hilarious. Hey, would you guys mind going and kind of just shutting that down? And yeah, we'll do it. We go out. We let people in, get all their stuff, get them out, shut it, lock it up. We go to come back in, and they locked us out.
You guys were locked in the outside.
He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm standing in the outside commons.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
What are
I'm
you doing?
driving down the highway.
Yeah, we're gone. We thought you guys left.
Yeah, one of our managers had to come let us out. And of course, he shows up and he's like, waving at us.
But no, we have a great security protocol that checks every building, and we got great security at night there, so nobody gets locked in other than these guys.
Our floor associates, they
out.
actually check the buildings, they check the booths. It's part of when they're doing their closing procedures. That's what they do. So
here's an interesting one. Do you think the Tiffany vase would have gone for more money if you waited for more bidders to join? Now they're referring to our burners.com auction. I always sell something really good on lot one. I learned this years ago. If you only put lower end stuff at the beginning of the auction, when people click on your catalog, I used to do it. I used to sell this way. I would sell all my costume jewelry by the trays first. So like the lowest end stuff I would have, I would sell 200-300 pieces of that. And then I would go into selling really good diamonds and gold and silver and all this. But by the time that someone looks at a catalog and they scan through 2 or 3 or 4 pages and they only see $5 to $20 items, they think, oh, this sale's not for me. And so they don't look any further. If they look at that very first item as something really good and it's intriguing, and then the first page has a lot of really nice things in it, then they usually look through the entire catalog. And the folks that are interested in that really good stuff, they're going to be there on time. So I don't think it would have brought more later in the sale. I think that there's some things that will bring more later in the sale as more people show up. But the really rare things, I think they're going to bring the right price as long as they're noted in the front. The people that are going to want them are going to show up. But that's a great question. Now, Whatnot's a little bit different because the Whatnot crowds aren't used to that. The Whatnot crowds are used to, well, I can join a show and a half hour in, they're going to start selling the good stuff. Not me. If you're going to learn, if you're following me on Whatnot, I will start the show off with good things. I don't like to wait. I like everybody to show up on time. I'll surprise you.
We reward those people. You say, hey, we're having a Whatnot show at 2 o'clock and blah, blah. And then at 2 o'clock,
I'm selling good stuff.
Selling good stuff.
Yeah.
And people do. They get on there and they buy some good things. And then other people will join later and they'll ask, hey, that piece I seen in the back, did you? And we're like, well, we already sold it.
Already sold it. It's gone. Yeah, you don't want to be late to one of our shows. And I think that's part of my strategic approach to selling is sell the good stuff first so that everybody shows up, and then they can stay as long as they want. But if I sell only junk first, then nobody will show up at the beginning. So
well, people are busy and they're trying to coordinate their day as well. So
yeah,
they know they can get in there and get on those good pieces early on.
Next question, is Lucas your son? Yep. Easy one. He is. He's not only my son. He's actually he was valedictorian at high school. He got a scholarship, almost a full ride. He was going to go into a pre-med route and decided that he wanted to get in the antiques reselling business instead.
Because his brother is a doctor.
Oh yeah, his brother is going to be a doctor. He's in his last year of med school, and then his older sister is going to be a nurse.
A nurse, yeah.
And that was the route he was going to go. And then he's like, "Nah, I want to do that. What you guys?" He was watching us, like, "I want to do what those guys do."
Yep.
We corrupted him.
Can you explain?
Doc for a little while.
We did. I've heard you mention a buyer's premium. Can you explain what this is? So if you buy from burners.com, berners.com, on our sales, those platforms, that's Invaluable, High Bid, AuctionZip platform that we use, you're going to pay a buyer's premium on everything that we sell. What that means is if you spend $100 on an item, we charge 18% buyer's premium. So instead of paying $100, you're going to pay $118. It's pretty standard in our business and our industry in the fine art and antiques categories. And actually the 18% now is on the lower side. Some houses are charging up to 30% premium. And what that does is it allows a company like us to say, hey, I'll sell your $500 item and I won't charge you anything. So as an auction company, I can go to a house and I can sell expensive items, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 items, and say I won't charge you anything. Instead, we charge the buyer, and that's how we make a commission. Pretty standard practice. We went to it maybe 15 years ago, and honestly, if we hadn't at the time, it would have been very difficult to stay competitive in our industry, and probably even to stay in business, because it's
So you can't
such
survive.
well, it's such an amazing amount of difference for us as a company to be able to survive and pay.
And
our
that lets
overhead.
people also figure in when they're buying something. It's not like
Yeah.
when you buy the item, you know what the final amount's going to be. So it really makes no difference in the sale of the items.
Another question here says, do you have staff booths marked? You should do a whatnot sellers booth that CLL, Follow That Bug, and others can come in the store that we can buy from. I'm not sure what that means. If they're wanting the other whatnotters to come to the heart of Ohio and buy, maybe that's a question. I'm not sure. We've got some stuff planned for the future. We do not have our staff booths marked. We have some staff members that have booths.
We do.
Not a lot of them. There's maybe less than half, but there are some that have booths. They're not marked any different, but we are going to be doing a lot more on online whatnots type platforms in the future. We've got a few hurdles to get through first. We should be through those by the end of the year. So I'm hoping that starting next year, beginning of next year, we'll be selling a lot of other people's stuff out of the mall. In a respectful way, I love Jimmy. There's a question in this somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one. What did you do? They got to it eventually. They said, "What did you do?" Yeah, so you've answered that question
we
already.
answered it. That's good. Oh, we love for people to have a good time in our stuff and just enjoy what we do.
Man, I think we're getting close to the end of these questions from last week. Here's one. Do you have jewelry jars or bags at the Heart for sale? No. There are some that come in. We personally don't sell our jewelry bags and jars there anymore. We only sell them on Whatnot. But there are some dealers that have some that have seen what we've been doing. They've been doing their own. So you'll find some bulk jewelry for sale at the Heart. Do you size the rings when you're selling, and do you measure the length of the bracelets? Yes, both. If you're on a burners.com catalog, every single item is got, if it's tested silver, it'll be marked, whatever the markings are. Size, weight, dimensions are all on there. And the same with Whatnot. We measure all the rings as we're selling it. I don't always give the sizes of every single bracelet. Sometimes I won't, but 80% of the time we'll give you a size. And then the last question of the day, I still don't comprehend how you get so much jewelry. I mean, do they just go to estate sales? I work with dealers like myself all over the country. I've been doing this my entire life, so I've got a really good network of supply set up. Any given day, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, I buy how many thousands of pieces of jewelry a week? 2, 3, 5,000 pieces a week.
You mean a
Sometimes.
day?
Well, sometimes a day.
Sometimes 20, 30, 50,000 pieces.
You never know. I mean,
all those boxes that came in last week that you guys sold. I mean, that was stuff that, like you said, it's a dealer that you're working with, and they know, all right, this is the product, I've got it, and they know you're the outlet, and it just works out great.
It's taken me a long time to develop that, though. It's not like you can pick the phone up and say, hey, I need you guys all to bring me a bunch of jewelry. It's been over time. I mean, on the road, sweat equity, building relationships with people and trust, and understanding, with the same people, what I need, what they need, where the prices need to be, so we can all make money. So that's kind of how that is set up, and how I've developed that over time. And we do buy a lot of gold as well. A lot of gold and sterling jewelry.
We do get some walk-ins.
We get some
walk-ins every day with jewelry. Then we get walk-ins.
Call-ins.
So.
I mean, all those dings you hear is his phone going off.
I got one right now. Just came in. A guy wanting to bring me some jewelry. So.
We left here last week, and we left from here and got to the Heart. We pulled in. And he goes, "Hey, I just bought a lot of jewelry on the phone." I was like, "From here to there?" He's like, "Yeah."
I've got today. Literally, I've got 3 different people I'm buying jewelry from today, and we sell a lot, so I have to buy it, and it works out really well. If I don't have something coming in, I always feel like I'm behind. So.
What's nice is there's a lot of people that come back. We buy some off of them, and then maybe they try to sell it somewhere else on their next items, and then they bring it back to us again because we're paying good,
really
paying
good for it. That's
so,
the other thing. They take it to a jewelry shop. Well, they're not going to pay you. I don't believe because they brought it after they've taken it to those shops. And they said, well,
what I always say is that we try and pay competitive price. I can't control what other people would pay, but I can just say that when we're buying, we try and be as fair and competitive as we can, and we get a lot of people that sell to us because of that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's talk. This is a long one, 45 minutes, and we're still going. Dad just showed up, so say hi, Bapal.
Hi, everybody.
There you go. You got it. Silk is inside working. We got to get busy. We got to get busy. My first appointment is going to be at the Antique Center in a few minutes, so we've got to get out of here. Thanks for watching. Again, make more comments, more questions. We'll try and answer them next week. And blessings to you. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends to join, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great week.